ceremony, switching of the decks.
Yep.
And I'm playing
Hey guys, it's Ryan.
And this is Richard.
And we're playing a new game this time. So this is Crystal Clans, which is a game I kind of like really fell in love with. But the last time we were hanging out commenting over a board game, we were playing Codex.
Yeah. And this is a game by Plaid Hat Games. None of us represent Plaid Hat. We're just fans of the game, and we just really enjoy it.
Yeah, we want to make that clear. Richard does work for Serlin Games, and I was a playtester on Codex, but neither of us have any involvement with Crystal Clans. I really love this game. I wanted to put out some videos and show some love.
Yeah, and I like it too. It has a lot of interesting ideas. It's an area control game where you're summoning units and you're making squads and you're sending them out to fight, and So a little bit of that battle, like miniatures, combat, battling type thing, but it has a twist with the combat that reminds me of a game called Yomi that both of us are massive fans of. So it's got a little bit of everything for people like us.
Yeah, and the board isn't huge, so it's things happen in a timely manner.
Yeah, there's not a lot of die rolling or anything like that. It's just very I don't know. I like it.
Yeah. All right, so we're flipping up the starting crystals here, and the way that this game works is that there are 3 crystal zones that are on the board. If you control 2 of them, you can buy a crystal, and the goal of the game is to get 4 crystals.
Yeah, and there's this initiative tracker at the bottom, and this is how you pay for everything. Everything in the game has an initiative cost, including those crystals. So what you're doing is you're spending time units to essentially give your opponent time to react to the things you're doing.
Yeah, so you'll notice that he has to push it into my side every time he does something.
Yeah.
And then once it passes the blue section, it's no longer his turn. So he can keep doing actions and spending initiative until it gets pushed into my side. And then it's my turn, and I spend actions until I push it into his side.
Right. So the first turn, Ryan, you played a supply golem for 2, pushing it to my side. Then I'm playing 3 units, a shaman and 2 marauders. And then I'm going to activate them by paying their activation cost and then moving them to the first crystal zone. And now it's your turn because it's on your side of the board.
So this matchup is kind of interesting. I actually, if you just bought the game, I think this is a good starter matchup. But the Blood Clan has a lot of really small, fast units that don't cost that much to move. And Stone Clan has a lot of expensive units, and they're kind of hard to move around. And so Supply Golem as a first drop, Supply Golem makes everything around him cost 1 less to move.
Yeah, and so you also made a workers unit, and you're reordering them, and you're going to move the supply golem up. So a workers unit has a keyword called builder, and there's structure cards that the Stone Clan has that you can summon directly to the builders. Normally when you summon a unit, you got to go to those home zones, have those drawbridges like I'm doing right now with these trappers. Trapper, chieftain, spending 3 initiative, all very cheap units. But the keyword for Blood Clan is a horde. So all these units have the horde ability. Meaning that if I have, there's usually a limit of 3 units in a squad, but as long as the front unit has horde, there can be any number of units in that squad, up to 10, just whatever you got. And then I spend 3 initiative there to do the replenish action, which is to
draw back up to 5 again.
Exactly.
So there's no there's no drawing at the beginning of your turn or anything like that. Everything costs initiative. So
everything.
If you want to draw cards again, you pay initiative again. So there's that builder ability. So we're dropping a unit called Siege Tower that has 3 that has a movement activation cost of 3. And normally that would be a huge pain to put it down, pay 3 to move it 1 space, pay 3 to move it another space. But instead, workers only cost 1 to move them 1/1, and then drop a siege tower in that spot.
Yeah, that's a big 7/7 too. Notice the units that I have are 1/1s and 3/1s and some 1/3s down in spawn. But yeah, the 7/7 is pretty interesting. And it also, if it gets close to my base, so if it's in the those 3 squares, either the purple crystal zone or the one next to it, it's near my home area,
it gets a buff.
+2, yeah. So here I am stacking additional units into that squad.
Yeah, and again, normally you couldn't have 4 units in a squad, and that's the special ability of Blood Clan.
Right, so I could stack all 7 in one spot.
And even better, the top unit of this particular stack is Chieftains. Chieftains gets an attack bonus based on the number of devout units in the squad.
Yep. And also we're going to go for a fight right now. So looking at the stats, I think the worker is is he a 2/4?
Yeah, Workers is 2/4, and Siege Tower is 7/7.
Right, so I'm going to I have a lot of attack here in this stack, and I might just be trying to blow up your unit there. So if Airrock Rider's bold goes into the guarded option. So here we're playing kind of little rock, paper, scissors type thing. We initiate a combat and one of us has to, we both have to play a card from our hand.
And the battle bonuses that we get are based on the like lower third of the card, where I have the little like green turtle symbol and he has the like bull symbol.
Yeah, so the bull, it says if they did guarded, get 5 attack. So that's giving me enough attack to wipe his whole group. And I'm losing all my guys, but hey, I didn't spend anywhere near as much as you did for them. So that's kind of what I want to do. So another thing too is I'm trying to get those units out of that crystal zone. The way that you score the crystals is you have to control 2 zones, and then you spend the initiative cost on the card to buy it, and then it goes down in your crystal zone, and you need to have in your crystal area on the side of the board. Once you get 4 of those, you win the game. So there I'm just trying to get rid of that like anchoring point with the builder and the supply tower, or the siege tower, so you can't just like wall me off from getting to that orange zone.
Also, another point is that a lot of times you can pay the initiative just to get a unit there, but scoring is also an action.
That's right.
So if you push it past and it's no longer your turn, you can't get the crystal.
Yeah, so every little initiative counts in this game. Every unit you spend is giving your opponent more resources to play with. So in this game, you can have units that cost a lot. You can have units that cost a little. It's like there's no mana curve. Like you're not like, okay, I can do one thing on turn 1 and I got 2 mana on turn 2.
You could drop a super expensive unit on turn 1.
Exactly. And that's why that tracker goes all the way to 20, like on both sides. There's sometimes some plays you can actually do that. And there's another rule where if it's your turn when you're summoning units, you can summon up to 3 at a time. So even if I was pushing all the way on the very tip of the blue section, so in Ryan's area but on the 1, I could spend like 20 mana worth of guys if that's in my hand in one like movement, giving him a lot of opportunity to come back. So I'm gonna stack these guys up, Marauders and Trappers, and I think I'm gonna walk them up to your supply golem. I'm gonna try and get them killed. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Oh no, I'm just gonna replenish. Yeah, I'm just gonna get a big stack there.
Okay, just dropping all your cards and then drawing up. So when you draw up to 5. So doing a replenish when you have less cards in your hand is actually better.
That's right.
You can discard as part of that, but so there's another thing where if you run out of cards, you give your opponent a crystal for free. So a lot of times you don't want to discard cards and not get use out of them. Mm-hmm. So you want to actually use all your cards and then replenish and then get that juicy like 5 whole cards for paying your 3.
Yeah, I like that rule a lot in this game too, because it means that combats actually like progress the game. Like if you would expect that like if you're fighting a lot and everything's dying and like nothing's able to stick to the board, you'd expect that like the game's just going to take forever and it won't ever end. But because you have to use combat cards to when you fight, whether you want to or not, like you have to play a card from your hand, or if you have nothing in your hand, you got to pay from the top of your deck. Then you have to, the game is still progressing despite the fact that nothing is like alive.
So something great there about Supply Golem again, Sentinels has a 2 activation cost, but every square it moved through in that movement was adjacent to Supply Golem.
Right.
So it only had to pay 1, 1, 1, and then it's a builder unit, so it drops Siege Tower, and because now it's right next to the home zone, Siege Tower gets a buff of +2/+2. So basically, I paid 1, 1, 1 to move a guy, and then dropped a 9/9 in that spot.
Yeah, it's crazy. And that's pretty intimidating for my little stack of 3 1s and 1 3s. So he's looking at 14 worth of stats.
And another thing that's important here is that if you are in a squad, like if your squad is in a zone with another enemy squad, you can't just move out. You're stuck.
Yeah. So I have to fight them, or he might try to fight me. I don't know. I think you didn't. I think you just summoned the tower.
Yeah. So I moved in, did the summon, but then I don't have enough left to battle you after the summon.
Right.
Because I would have to pay the activation cost again.
So what's cool about the Blood Clan is that, hey, I don't have enough guys. I can actually just summon more guys and send them all in there, and then have like a 10 versus 2 fight if I need to. So looking at what I got in my hand, I think I see one of my favorite units in the game. Let's see what we got calculating here. I got 4 initiative to play with, and I can summon some more small guys. Let's go.
So dropping Trappers, and Marauders. So they're kind of the same unit, but Trappers are a 1/3 and Marauders are a 3/1.
Yeah, and now I have 8 units on the board, and Big is one of my hero cards. The first hero to hit the board right now. He's a big dinosaur. I know he's coming. But
Yeah, you're looking at him.
Yeah,
You got him right there in your hand.
Yeah, so he has an ability called Big Song. Reduce the summon cost of Big by 1 for every 2 units on the board. So instead of costing 9, he only cost me 5, and he's at 12/12. So you're going to knock a 9/9 on my doorstep. I'm going to bring my dinosaur out.
That way you can't.
So he also has Horde. So if he's in the front, I can still have a giant stack. So you can't let me push this giant pile together. I can bring the Marauders, Big, and the 2 Trappers into that stack and get a fight. So you're probably going to try to fight that first.
So another thing that's interesting here is that the stack order matters a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So when you deal damage from the top of the stack down. And so the stack that's in the crystal zone that's close to Blood Clan is 14 damage, and Big is only 12. And so by putting 2 Trappers on top of Big, when he moves that in, it's going to absorb 6 of the damage before it goes to Big, and Big will probably survive.
Yeah, and damage does not stay on the cards or anything, so they have to be completely destroyed at the end of the combat, or else they don't die.
Yep.
So kind of giving Big like a 6 health buffer in a sense. But that other stack though, looking pretty weak. But do you really want to spend 3 initiative to fight it? You can't let me stack together on that,
because that's going to completely destroy it. Thinking about what to do here. Probably gonna fight, I guess.
1, 2.
Yeah, there we go. No, summon.
1, and then.
Is it a worker?
Yeah, it's a worker.
Either
Summon, move, and then like drop something there, and
take the crystal.
then have make you pay 3 to move into
or I
it.
can move into the squad to attack.
Yeah, maybe. Like I don't know if you want me to have that big stack though.
Yeah,
It's like you can move up and control 2 zones and buy a crystal.
yeah, but you can move Big into that stack and have it be crazy huge. Oh, okay. So workers is moving into that stack, and so the way an activation works is that you get to do a reorder, and then a move, and then a battle. So even though the workers started outside of the stack, they can move into the stack, and then they still have the option to battle, even though they combined to create a bigger squad.
Yeah, and so even though I said you should spend 3 initiative to fight me, you didn't have to. You kind of did. You spent a couple initiative to get a workers.
But I got more stats out of it rather than just spending 3.
That's right. And so I play a Chieftain's card. It's the only card in my hand, so I didn't really have a choice.
I lose my hero.
But I get to draw a card there as a result of losing that.
And I get 4 defense. But funnily enough, the losing side of this one is actually better because it would return to hand. Unfortunately, because I won the combat flip, I lose the hero.
Yeah, unfortunate. And he's pretty good.
Oh dang. Nice.
That's the golem, right?
Yeah, he's a 10-8.
Yeah.
But I lose him on the battle card flip. I was hoping to still keep him and get the 4 defense.
Yeah, and the sad thing for me there is it's enough defense to keep that front siege tower alive. So you're able to reorder the stack to put him in the front, activate it for cheap, and have more stats there to deal with Big the next turn.
Yeah, so the extra 4 defense plus it getting +2/+2 from being nearby, it ends up being 13 defense that you have to get through
Yeah, it's crazy.
before it touches anything underneath. Again, combat damage is dealt
Still
from
your
the top
turn.
down.
So now, because you do control 2 zones, you get to buy a crystal.
So taking Bitter Blessing, which lets you force a discard on your opponent. Normally you look at their hand and you pick one, but you only had 1 card in your hand, so
That's
you just
right.
discarded it.
And it was the Shamans, and it was the one that I ended up, returning to hand earlier that fight.
But stuff like that can be good. So if you get a crystal that kind of forces them to do something, like by taking the crystal, now you spend 3 on replenish, you don't get the
Yeah.
full amount.
That's right. So I spend 3 there to replenish, and then I spend 3 more to move Big in.
Replenished.
And yeah, we're just mathing it out. Making sure I did the right thing there. Yeah, so didn't save 3 initiative somehow. And looking at combat cards, and looks like I got Condor, one of the strongest combat cards in the game, and it connects with the tricky hits the bold option. So Condor is his ability is destroy the bottom unit of your opponent's squad. I would have liked to destroy the top unit because it would have killed the siege tower.
So the thing about Condor is usually you use him when only 1 unit is fighting you, because it guarantees it destroys the unit.
Yeah, but that was a big enough threat that I needed to really deal with, and I lowered the damage in the stack enough to where I only lost the 2 trappers in the front and kept Big on the board.
Yep, and having Big stay on the board is huge.
And now I'm going to summon some Aerok Riders. So
But
this is
but you do have some ground to make up. I'm a crystal ahead.
That's true. So I'm summoning 2 Aerok Riders and putting you at exactly 2 initiative. Typically in this game, it can be really dangerous to give your opponent too much to work with. So yeah, you have to replenish because your hand is empty. So you're not going to get a huge turn out of this.
No, so probably you're probably going to get a crystal score here because I had to pay to replenish. I'm probably going to just drop 1 unit, and then you're going to Aerok Riders out to the center and be able to score.
Yeah, so they have an ability called Flight. If there's only flying units in the squad, when it gets activated, it can move up to 2 zones away, and it can move out of zones containing enemy squads. So if he was sitting there like blocking me, I could still escape.
So this is a little bit of a tell. I did a discard check, which probably means that I either have Horgath or I have Lithomancers in my hand, because those both let you take structures from your discard pile and put them on top of your deck.
Yeah, and again, we said about milling the deck. Like, if you run out of cards, you end up giving your opponent a crystal. So any effects in this game that can put cards back on your deck, they're very powerful. And if you look up top, the one of those crystals they have up there is called the Song of Plagues. And when you purchase it, you mill 5 cards off the top of your opponent's deck right away. So that's like really strong if you know that you can get a mill crystal during the course of the game. So these Aerok Riders are threatening. Once he plays a unit, because he's got to defend his base here.
2 units.
Yeah, so see how he can spend 2 units, pay their cost simultaneously, and push me to 7. So I'm just going to jump in there for 2.
And you get a crystal for really cheap.
Yeah, so I have 5 initiative to spend, and so I'm buying the Song of Plagues. So you're just going to end up with only 3 there. So and I have this really aggressively statted riders up there. They're 5/1s. So anything he spends to go in there, it might just die, but he does have to push me off of that.
Unfortunately, supply golems only have 1 attack.
Yeah.
Which means that it's very unlikely I'm going to be able to send just 1 supply golem to go and kill that whole squad. Usually, if I was a different clan or if I had different units, I'd be able to just send 1 thing over there that's not that expensive and go take both of them out.
Yeah, and the other thing too is you could bank on maybe using a combat card that gives you damage.
Yeah.
So
that's one interesting thing is like even though the numbers are right on the cards, they're still like it's not so deterministic what can happen because of the way the combat cards work. You know, I probably won't if you try to attack me with those. I'm probably not going to try to put more defense on those riders, right?
Yeah, and you're
so.
Or if you want to guarantee that I get the weaker side of an attack card, you can play a tricky or something. Like there's interesting thought here, and there's counterplay, and it's really interesting.
Yeah, it's really great when you play against a faction for the first time. You might not know all the things that they can do and like what their combat options are, but it usually only takes about 1 playthrough, or only like just 1 looking at the cards to see what their options might even be. And typically the guarded options give them more defense. Typically the bold options give attack, and then the tricky ones just do something tricky. So you can kind of guess like what's going to come your way depending on what's going on. But there's a little bit of a mix up there, and I love that about it.
So this gets taken back. This is there we go. This is a bad idea. So the thing about Aerok Riders, did we talk about the fact that Flight can move through units?
Yeah.
Yeah, so usually when you're in a zone with other units, or like when you move into a zone with other units, you're stuck there. But with Flight, he can pass through and then mill me for 10. So I have to stay home.
Yeah, so he's just going to replenish to do a thing that doesn't change his position but gets him cards back because he doesn't really want to move anything.
Yeah, so I have to protect my home from the Aerok Riders.
Yeah, this is inviting me to buy another crystal, but I don't want to do that either. I just want to bring big to your doorstep.
Is it that?
So yeah, if I get to his home square and he has nothing there, I can do an invade action for 3 initiative, and I can start using the attack of my units to mill cards off the top of his deck. It's a way to accelerate the game and like get crystals for cheap. So you really do have to protect your home base. So that's why you decide not to do that, because it was going to be easy, swoop in and mill 10 cards off the top of your deck.
Yeah, and fortunately what's in my house is double siege tower, so hopefully that's enough to fight big after this combat doesn't go well.
Yeah, so here's me trying to just get my card back, but I have a 12-12 against a 1-4. There's no chance.
And same with me, the workers, the left side of the battle card lets me draw a card, so like I'm clearly not going to win the combat, so it's a good idea to play something that either comes back to your hand or that lets you draw or that somehow kind of recoups the battle card.
Yeah, so I spent 6 initiative walking big across the board to do this, but what I'm trying to do here is just have a good pressure on my opponent. I'm only putting him at 2. Like, he can't make big plays right now. And I could have bought a crystal, but it would have given him a lot of initiative to figure out a way to, move those towers over to my Airlock Riders and push them out. Like, I just don't want him to have time.
Put a guy there. Yeah.
And with Big on the doorstep, you know, it's possible that I can move my Airlock Riders into the same stack as Big, and then move Big and the Riders up there, you know, kill all his units, and then start attacking his base. Like, this is a threat.
Yeah, and what I would love to do is like move the siege towers into Big and then play a unit and move it into the Airlock Riders, but I'm almost certain there's not enough initiative to do that.
Yeah.
So probably, yeah, that gets moved up, then battle happens, and then play a unit. Oh.
I think you're not going to fight. I think you want me to spend initiative.
I want you to spend another 3.
Yes. Because I'm only at 2 now, so I can't spend initiative and, you know, go to his house and kill him. Like, this tough.
And Ballista was the unit that was played in home zone. Ballista gives +3 attack to anything around it. So that means that it's kind of just, you know, belt and suspenders, make sure those siege towers really do kill Big while they're there.
Yeah, just making it so that if I do spend that 3 initiative, it's going to be, you know, even worse for me. So maybe I don't do that. So good stalling play there. But Ballista, what's the stats on that guy?
Ballista is a, let's see, he's a 3/5.
Okay, so it's definitely enough attack to kill the Airlock Riders if they get into a fight.
Yeah, he only deals 3, but he adds 3 attack to the squad. That's right.
Because they only have 1 health each, and so they'll each die. Like, all the damage like just flows up, but I'm coming in.
Okay.
So I fly in, spend 2.
All right, so we're going to make this trade, which is actually good for me that you spent the 2 initiative instead of me spending the initiative to go over there and get you out of that crystal zone.
That's right. So I'm going to play Den Mother Gra, and I get it. So my guarded option, if he plays a tricky into that, is I get +1 defense for every unit I have on the battlefield. That's 4. So it's enough for the Ballista to not actually kill either of my Riders.
And that's why you did it, because you could get the defense boost.
Yeah, it was a gamble. I mean, if you played the other thing, then I would have just returned Den Mother to my hand and I wouldn't have survived. But now I get to do the invade action, mill 10 cards off the top of your deck.
I'm showing that Horgath, I bottom decked him and didn't get to play him.
Yeah, sad. And then I immediately get a crystal, and I get the Spirit of Horses. Or the Horse's Spirit? I keep on getting that name wrong.
Yeah, the
Horse of Spirits. Close. And it allows me to do a free move action on any one of my squads to an empty zone. So I'm going to pull those Riders back and then threaten it again. Like, if you don't protect your base, I'm coming for you.
And notice that he didn't spend any initiative for that. Normally, when you control 2 crystal zones and you buy a crystal, you like spend 9 and you give your opponent a ton of stuff. By milling the deck, he just like got a crystal for free, advanced his position, didn't have to pay anything. I'm still where I was, so I don't have a ton to spend.
Yeah, I spent 3 to do the invade action, so that's the thing. But I'm looking at my deck. I only have 6 left, so you know, I'm close to decking out 2, so I'm not like too far ahead at the moment. So you can kind of look at Ryan's stack as like he has the Bitter Blessing, and he might have another crystal, as long as like inevitably over the course of the game I'm probably gonna have to reshuffle. So I gotta do another top of the deck combat here.
So notice I play the Supply Golem first, so that way the Siege Tower stack only costs 2 to fight.
Yep. Egg Tosser, that's your hero unit. Hero catapults.
And he gives defense on both sides. So
And I get +1.
Yeah.
gives defense and lets me draw cards.
Yep. I you know, I don't win the combat, neither do you, and I end up drawing a card. So I lose the card from the top of the deck, and I draw 1.
15. No, it's exactly enough.
And then doing some math here.
The 2 towers? Yeah.
Yep.
Looks like everything dies except for that Supply Golem, which is probably the exact outcome you wanted there. Supply Golem's so important for moving around these really heavy stone units.
Yep.
3.
Let's see. Probably a
turn?
summon is the last.
And drop.
And
Yeah.
Bring out a Sentinels. Yeah, good. 3 initiative, 5/5 builder. Has an ability that doesn't come up too often. It's called Vigilance. Like, if you move a unit or squad into his square,
They have to battle?
You have to battle. Like, and a lot of times you don't have to do that. Like, but it helps him like get around the cost of Elders.
Let's me put 3.
Yeah, back to that in a second. But Elders is a 3 initiative unit. It's 3/3, and it lets me reshuffle 3 cards, common cards, back from my discard pile into the deck.
So we were mentioning before that like your deck was kind of getting low, and you know maybe I was going to get a crystal because you decked out. This pushes that further out, and that makes it.
Yeah, it makes it more difficult for you to get that free crystal.
Yeah.
And gives me some space to maybe replenish and not run out of cards right away. And I might do that. I'm looking at, you know, I have 1 initiative and I'm going to push you to 2 if I do that. So that's great. I want you to have very, very little space to do anything.
So you can move and then Soren's bound.
But yeah, the Sentinels thing though, oftentimes your units are hard to activate, right? They cost a lot.
Yeah.
So you like it when they have to fight, and I can't just like put a little unit in there and do nothing, and then you're forced to
pay a high activation cost to fight to get you out.
Oh, but I take the Soren's Bounty so that I get the free replenish. So that's a huge initiative saver. Running myself out of cards and then moving a guy in and then playing Soren's Bounty just to replenish. That's like a big tempo play.
And again, a replenish costs 3 normally, so
Yeah.
Soren's Bounty, which costs 8, it kind of costs 5 if you wanted to replenish anyway.
Exactly.
So it ends up being a really valuable cheap crystal.
Yeah, so I'm looking at 3 crystals. I'm on game point. You really got to get rid of these Arak Riders or the Elders and make sure that I can't hold 2 zones. Because if you don't do anything, I can just buy one. And even though you're at 1 crystal, my deck's still running out. I did get 5 cards. I think I only have like 2 or 3 left. So not that you could march all the way over and start attacking my deck with anything, but it's still over the natural course of the game as combats happen, as you need to resummon units to the board. You know, the mills happen. So deciding what to do here, you have, 2 supply golems on the field, so you can move stuff around pretty efficiently.
However, the supply golem isn't on the top of the home stack, so that stack, at least its very first activation, is going to cost 2 instead of 1.
Right. And yeah, the effect stacks, so.
Yeah. So if you have 2 supply golems next to each other, everything moves for 1.
Alright, let's just get these dudes out of here.
Okay, deciding here.
Pay 2.
Yeah.
Gotta
Pay
spend
2
that
for
2.
that first one,
Just moving it out by itself.
and then only 1 because it's next to 2 supply golems to get it in there.
Yeah, and this 5/5 matches up pretty well against these 2 riders. I think you're pretty happy spending 3 initiative, on Sentinels to get them over there and kill 4 initiative worth of dudes. But let's see if these riders survive. Probably not. I don't know if I'm able to give them like 6 defense.
So you're adding Marauders to the bottom of the stack, but it certainly immediately dies.
Yeah, Trappers and Marauders are cool. They just like go underneath there and put more dudes in play. But you're getting extra attack and like you were trying again to get your card back, right?
Yeah, again, and I got the card back because
Nice.
you played
The bold option.
bold against the tricky.
All right.
Which means
So still your turn.
drop.
Looking at my
So
4 cards in
probably-
hand, only a couple in deck. Yeah.
Probably add something to the supply golem. No, because you have so both trappers and marauders are only 1 cost to play, and they're only 1 to move. So if I leave you at even if I leave you at the 2 and do nothing else, you can probably play a 1 cost unit, pay 2 to move it to the center and score.
Yeah.
So I do have to do something about the center.
That's right.
I can take a siege tower on top of my draw pile.
So Lithomancers brings a structure to the top. I didn't really see what you got. Might have been a siege tower.
Yeah, I think it was a siege tower, and then it's 1 and 1
1
to
and
move
2,
there.
because you really do have to cover that zone.
Yeah, and again, supply golem means I only pay 1 both times.
And now you're putting Lithomancers on top because they're a builder in case you need to build something later, but also you want to keep that supply golem safe. And I'm going to play Elders again, so mitigating this this issue here. And I'm going to grab all the Arak Riders I've played this game, all 3 of them, and they're going back in the deck. Because I want to keep that threat alive of being able to just dive bomb your home base and mill you out for that final crystal. And my deck's small, so I'm gonna get them. Like you're not gonna stop me from getting those now. And Elders are like a decent unit anyway. They're like in terms of and for Bloods units, which are very very small. It's a 3 initiative 3/3, so it's pretty solid.
Yeah, 3/3 and keep you from decking out, especially because you have your whole thing is a bunch of small cheap units, so you're probably spending more cards than a normal faction would.
Yeah, like there's some other dudes like in Meteor Clan, isn't like the Titan Knight like a 3 initiative 6/8 or something?
Yeah, he's like 1 card for a lot of stats, and you
Oh,
have
yeah.
to spend like 4 cards for a lot of stats.
Yeah. And then and they're not particularly great either. And every combat you do, like, I gotta start spending those again, so.
Dive bomb shit.
So yeah, just building a big stack, a bunch of trappers and an elder, just trying to say, hey, I can march up to that supply golem, or I can march all the way to your base.
And you're sitting on 12 defense, which makes it unlikely that whatever's on the board is going to take out the whole stack.
Yeah, and after that replenish, my deck is empty again.
It would probably be cool. It's like,
So I do not want you to walk your Lithomancers up to my base. I know you can get a supply golem pretty quickly, because if you just put it on top of the deck with the Lithomancers. Or sorry, a siege tower. And I can't have you putting that in my my purple square here.
and like win or something. Like really.
So just kind of building up for the final fight. Again, like, I'm 2 crystals up, but I got no deck. And you're also holding 2 positions here. So if you buy a crystal here, you have 4 initiatives. So you buy a crystal, you're still looking okay.
I definitely need something in home zone before I buy a crystal, though.
That's right.
Because even though that stack has 4 units in it, you would think that it would, like, it still only costs 1 to move. So it's still 1, 1, 1, 1, and then you're in the home zone. And then you can mill again.
And I can bring those elders up too. Like I can move through that purple zone, pick them up on the way. Because of the horde keyword, I can just make the stack larger. Yeah, so what will you do here? Yeah, you're just trying to see what will survive even. Like, because even if I spend a bunch of stuff to get them in there, I could fight on the move in, kill whatever's there, and then still keep on milling as long as some things survived. And yeah, look at my hand, I got all the Xerox Riders. So I'm still threatening, like, you know, move these guys out, summon those, dive bomb to the orange area, or just try to get to your base.
For supply golem.
Yeah, supply golem, moving up for 1.
Then it's 1.
And this also helps to like block the area too. Like I can't march these guys through there now and get all the way to your home square. Like the flyers could, but not these.
Yeah, it just kind of gums up the works and make sure that like some units die along the way there.
Mm-hmm. Maybe a good combat card that gives you attack that you can use to just flush out my whole squad. But yeah, still deciding though. It's like you really gotta. Maybe it's just, you know, siege tower in there and you don't actually buy that crystal.
Goes here, and actually you're gonna dive bomb.
Yeah. Just
Oh man.
So
really thinking about it.
Yeah, what's the play here?
Crystal is what I should do.
It could be sentinels and buy a crystal. You got some options.
Like that has.
Looking up there, I see the foxtail, which is pretty decent against the
Well,
Blood
so
Clan.
it's rough because you're at 3 crystals already,
Yeah.
and so
Put
you
yourself-
moving up
There
to
you go.
Okay,
Judge of Fate. Yeah.
yeah, taking Judge of Fate because you moving up to Supply Golem, killing it, and then scoring is a way out,
Yeah.
or is a way to win.
Exactly. But Judge of Fate is a way to cheat the combat to help you out. And if you have a good combat card, then you can guarantee that you get the good option and I get the bad option.
Fight there.
And you know, honestly, like the Judge of Fate is actually spooking me here a little bit because I could probably just ball up my whole crew here, the Elders, the 3 Trappers, walk up to the Supply Golem, kill him, you know, leave something behind, like leave like a Trapper behind or whatever, and then control 2 zones. I have 7 initiative, I could probably do something like that. But I'm just worried that there's like a combat card you could play that gives you a ton of attack that like allows the Golem to live. The stack would only have about 9 attack, and there's stuff in your deck that gives a lot of defense, right?
Yes. So Horgoth's Golem gives 4 defense. The what's it called? The Sentinels give they don't actually. Supply Golem gives 5 defense.
Yeah, I think I see all 3 supply golems on the board. So maybe I didn't. Yeah, I thought that maybe you might have been able to tank that up, but maybe I can't. So I replenish. Sorry, no, I play another Elders. Yeah, 3 more for an Elders to put more cards in my deck. So again, mitigating the possibility of getting milled out. Like I just want to make sure that I don't run out of cards here. And stacking that up, and that's a really resilient stack. There's 6 units, they all have 3 HP, so 18 defense in that squad, and 12 damage. So the Blood Clan really showing that, you know, quantity over quality, I believe.
I don't know that I agree with those Airrock Riders. I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm going in. So yeah, I think we're right. I think I was a little bit spooked by that Judge of Fate, and I wasn't sure that I could win that combat against your Supply Golem, but I probably could.
Yeah, I think I think the play here clearly was leave a Trappers behind and go fight the Supply Golem.
Yeah, I agree. From seeing this in retrospect, but you know, in the heat of battle, sometimes
Yeah.
you make mistakes. But getting those Airrock Riders in there, and I play a Marauders to add to the stack.
Which doesn't do all that much. Marauders only has 1 defense, so.
Yeah. But the whole point is to just kill your invading force there and push them out.
The Workers draw actually fires, so we get +1 attack, +2 defense, and draw a card.
Yep, and everyone trades. And it's now your turn. You got 3 initiative. So now I'm really threatening the, you know, spend 2 initiative to walk over and buy the crystal. Or it's pretty much the same play, right? It's like, but I've eliminated a bigger threat, and I'm not going to mill. Like, I made sure that playing all 3 copies of Elders, I put 9 cards back in my deck.
So what's interesting here is that on the first pass through the deck, I didn't get to play any heroes because I bottom decked Horgath, and then the Golem and the Egg Tosser both ended up as battle cards.
Yeah.
And so potentially like a really beefy hero could be the way out of this because heroes are normally costed really well for their stats. Like normally your deck will have,
You're actually pretty close.
you know, we'll have some unit that's like a 5/1 and then the hero version of it will be like a 6/8 or something. You know,
Yeah,
it'll be
totally.
some like crazy strong version of it.
Right, like I got to play Big. I used Condor as a combat card. Big had a huge impact in the game, though.
Yeah, the fact that this is, the fact that I'm sitting here thinking about this clearly means I don't have a hero in my hand. So maybe the move here is replenish, and then supply golem means it can move. But
still, the fear is I can just walk a guy over and buy. So
yeah, I don't think there's a way out with the amount of initiative I have.
yeah,
Because,
so even though I misplayed horribly, and I probably could have just killed the supply golem and won the game on the spot, like running the Airlock Riders in there and getting the kill means that you got nothing left. And note though that you could just walk up and buy a crystal, right? So at any time, if I had lost any more cards, like I went to 0 but didn't have to reshuffle, and I used the Elders to put cards back in my deck. At any moment, if I had to reshuffle, you could just walk in there now and buy a crystal and win the game. So it looks like you're way behind, but you're really not. This was really, really, really close. And I think you're just calculating now, like, can you stop me from walking a trapper over there?
yeah, because what can be done here is the supply golem that's on the crystal zone pays 2, goes to the center crystal zone. One that's in home pays 1, comes forward. And then drop something in home zone that does put something everywhere. But it's not going to be enough. So that's the GG.
Yeah, and I had another Riders in hand, so like I had another way to like quickly get
With 3 cards left in deck still.
Yeah, those Elders really were clutch. And again, like if I had ever milled out at any time during that game, you'd be at 3, and this would be GG for you. You just walk up and buy it.
Yep.
Yeah, so close. I think the big clutch play there was the Soren's Blessing on the empty hand,
That was awesome.
and that really saved me a lot of time. And just, it was pretty YOLO to send Big all the way to your blue zone, but hey, it worked out. Like you wasted a lot of your time and had a pretty big threat there. And also the Den Mother Gra play to keep the Riders alive and
That was
then,
huge.
and have them mill you out, because not only did I knock out a hero, but I got 1 crystal ahead. And you might still, with stuff like Lithomancers, being able to put cards back on top of your deck, like you probably would not have milled out. And I'd still be at 3, and then your board position would look pretty good once you could draw to those heroes. So,
But yeah, that is a game of Crystal Clans.
yeah, thanks for watching, everybody, and tune in for the next video.